Hare Krishna. Good morning, my dear Prabhus and dear Matajis. Thank you for joining our Japa session this morning. Please continue to finish your rounds today, read Srila Prabhupada's books, and be Krishna conscious. So again, before we start, tonight we have um, Little Temple, making our homes our own sacred space, and tomorrow will be a whole day festival and we'll broadcast it live in Zoom and in Facebook. So welcome sa ating Monk in the Middle podcast powered by Braj Bhakti Academy. And before we start, you know the drill. We should be always in the proper mood, in the mood of request and in the mood of humility. So join me as we recite the invocation mantras. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavate Uttamas Loke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Hello, good morning. Hello muna kay Charles, Jonah, Kanai, Krishna, Riza, Mataji, Shamataji, Trina Mataji, and Raul Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So we are still here in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto creation. We are now in the chapter, sixth chapter, entitled Conversation between Narada and Vyasadeva. So previously, ang daming kaganapan and it was explained paano ginagawa ni Vyasadeva yung I mean ni Narada Muni, paano naging story niya from previous life niya in the previous kalpa or that was the previous day ni Lord Brahma. Paano nangyari na alala niya yung mga yon and paano siya hindi na-attract sa mga allurement ng Maya, ni Maya. And paano niya nakita si Krishna by the meditation. Then biglang nawala. The reason was because Krishna wanted for Narada Muni to be much more in that later stage or the purification na kailangan para dun sa continuous association ni Krishna. Pero, one of the main reason is the love in separation makes the love grow fonder. So, mas nagiging intense to intensify the love na meron siya kay Krishna and the hankering. And that hankering would be his fuel para tuloy-tuloy yung devotional service niya. Because devotional service and Krishna are identical. Also as his name, fame, glories are also identical to Krishna. So we don't only see Krishna through the eyes. We must see Krishna through our ears. So what happened now is tinutuloy-tuloy ni Narada Muni yung story niya. Paano nangyari yon? Paano siya napunta sa body na yon? So tapos na yung previous life niya. And we're going sa text number 26. Yes. Thus, I began chanting the holy name and fame of the Lord by repeated recitation, ignoring all the formalities of the material world. Such chanting and remembering of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are benedictory. So doing, I traveled all over the earth, fully satisfied, humble, and unenvious. So, tinuloy-tuloy niya yung instructions ni Krishna, chanting Krishna's name, fame, glory, and undisturbed siya sa lahat ng offering ng material world, sa lahat ng temptation. Ano yung mood ni Narada Muni? He is in the proper mood of humility, unenvious, as well as fully satisfied siya. He's very satisfied doing that purpose niya, doing that dharma. So, he was a young boy back then. Then, tinuloy niya yung instructions sa kanya. Narada Muni is a perfect example, sabi ni Srila Prabhupada, of a sincere devotee. Minsan, may mga kwento sa akin yung mga students na yung mga anak nila, yung mga kids, are very natural in practicing Krishna consciousness. They haven't taught them how to chant or how to worship the altar, or sometimes to read the books of Srila Prabhupada's, the spiritual Krishna conscious books. Pero naturally, yung mga bata, mas inclined sila. Wala silang masyadong distraction in the thought of mental speculation and other atheistic mentality and philosophy. Mas natural sa kanila. Kasi naman, these things in serving of Krishna, such as serving kay Krishna sa deities, sa devotees, even chanting, are there. A natural tendency ng soul yun eh. Pero because of our upbringing, because of the beliefs na na-instill sa atin, habang lumalaki tayo, of the media, of the other philosophies na naaaral natin, nagkakaroon ng maraming resistance. Nagkakaroon ng trust issue. Nagkakaroon ng maraming, how do they call it, hindrances. Pero the child is very naive for that other malicious and perverted philosophy. Mas madali sa kanilang gawin yung Krishna consciousness. Very natural. And of course, we could not deny um, there's a big chance a young person na mag-practice na Krishna consciousness, or much more to be born in the family of devotees na tinutuloy lang nila yung Krishna consciousness nila from their previous lives. So the duty of the parents is to facilitate it, to facilitate the Krishna consciousness activities, inclination of the child. So not to of course, not to control the child, pero once may inclination, once may spark, found a spark. So Narada Muni is a perfect example. Even bata siya, we're trying to follow his footsteps. So he traveled all over the world. Bakit? He wanted na hindi lang sa kanya yung knowledge na meron about the consciousness kay Krishna. He wants everyone to hear. Kasi nga, we see Krishna through hearing. Yan. Travel all over the world so that others may also hear the glories of the Lord. So wala siyang material gain doing this. Hindi niya ginagawa to out of um, job or business. Hindi, walang talent fee. Pero tuloy-tuloy niya ginagawa. His only business, sabi, their only business is to chant and remember the holy name, fame, and pastime of the Lord. And depende sa mga tao sa paligid niya to share them according sa kanya-kanyang capacity. So we could see some of those who practice spirituality, practice yoga. May mga mabilis mag-advance. May mga medyo they take it slowly or hindi pa nila kagad magets. Kanya-kanyang capacity kasi yun. So us who are fortunate enough to know this knowledge, who wanted also to share this, just like when one have a good news, gusto natin i-share yung good news na yun. Gusto natin maramdaman din nila yung saya. Pero we should be expert enough to know ano yung capacity ng mga tao sa paligid natin or those audience. Hindi natin pwede ibigay sa kanila um, yung big chunk ng knowledge that they could not chew. So we should be expert enough what to offer for them to be much more receptive sa knowledge na to. Kasi we have to admit it, not everyone is ready, not everyone is willing, and not everyone is um, ready sa pagbitaw sa kanya-kanyang attachment materially. And that is actually one of the cause ng suffering, to let go of that um, attachment. And having the spiritual knowledge is automatic nawawala yung attachment na yun. The false ego is protecting oneself. Oneself na, teka lang, komportable tayo rito eh. Kampi tayo, di ba? Ba't mo gusto bitawan yung bisyo na to? So, we should be expert knowing the audience. What's their, should borrow this uh, quote by, ano tama Prabhupada? Needs, interest, and concern ng audience. So knowing what's the needs and interests and concern ng audience, mas maging receptive yung message natin. So si Narada Muni is traveling to let people around hear about Krishna's glories. He wanted to share the good news. Number 27, and so, O Brahmana Vyasadeva, in due course of time, I, who was fully absorbed in thinking of Krishna, and who therefore had no attachments, being completely freed from all material taints, met with that as lightning, and illumination occur simultaneously. So ano yung characteristic ni Radha Muni when he met that? Wala siyang any tinge na material desire and attachment. He's free from that. He is always absorbed and thinking of Krishna. And that's the goal of Krishna consciousness, to fully be absorbed in Krishna conscious, like in Krishna, in and always remember Krishna and not forget him. Ito na yung parang taboo palagi sa mga topic. Pag pinag-uusapan yung death, lagi makita yung mga tao, knock on wood. They're very fearful to talk about that because they don't know what will happen after. Without the knowledge, fear will be there. Like anxiety is the fear of the unknown. People don't want to talk about that kasi una-una, they are very attached to a lot of things, to the position, to the relationship, to the material fame, name, and the things that surrounded them. Yung mga pinaghirapan nila, binuhusan ng bugot pawis. Tapos mamamatay, and alam nilang di nila madadala yun. And they don't know what will happen sa death. But there is a very nice example regarding that. It is just like a cat. A death of a materialistic person and a death of a devotee is very different. It may look the same na malilive natin yung material body na to. Pero the analogy of a cat holding sa mouth niya yung kitten, yung anak niya, versus a cat na nasa mouth niya yung rat as food is very different. That is just like the mouth of the cat. Kapag nasa bibig niya yung rat as their food, nakikita mo sobrang fearful ng rat. Sobrang, alam niya, that is certain. Alam niya na he will become the food. He's the prey. Pero, on the other hand, yung mouth na nakakagat sa kitten, sa nape ng kitten, is just normal. Alam niya, under care siya. Taken care siya ng kanyang mother, the cat. Minsan, to be transferred, to be put in a safe place. So, ganun daw yung death. Just like the mouth of the cat. And the devotee is not afraid of death. Because he knows yung nature ng death. yung knowledge nun, what will happen next. So he's not afraid of it. Yung death nga daw, it was described here as lightning and illumination. Di ba pag kumitlat, liliwanag, ganun na kabilis. And you will be on the next destination. One could be in another body, gross or subtle, in a higher planetary system or lower planetary system. Or one could be in the spiritual body na pwede niya makasama si Krishna. Spiritualize na siya. Tapos na yung samsara niya or birth and death cycle niya. Nasa eternal body na siya ulit. Only if one is free from all attachment. One is free from all unwanted baggages. And one have attained and perfected yung life niya. Pag nag-mature na yung spiritual bank account niya. And Narada Muni attained this. Pero hindi siya nagstay kagad kay Krishna sa spiritual world. Meron siyang duty. Meron nangyari and may kailangan siyang gawin. Srila Prabhupada even mentioned here in the last sentence dito sa purport, if a devotee just like Narada Muni and other pure devotees, as we can see, even before that, a pure devotee has no material affection due to his body's being spiritualized like a red-hot iron in contact with fire. So yung mga pure devotee daw, even living here in the material world, hindi pa sila nag-spiritualize, hindi sila namamatay pa. But even living this material world, having this material body, yung material body nila is considered spiritualized na. They're using everything, all the senses. This body composed of 5 elements. The energy, the time, they're using serving Krishna and propagating Krishna consciousness. They're using it to spread the service for Krishna, spreading the good news. And the analogy of the iron, yung bakal pag nilagay mo sa fire, sa high temperature, di ba paglabas mo nun, pagkuha mo ng iron na yon, color ano na siya, orange, yellowish na siya. And it's very hot. And pag tinouch mo siya sa paper, mababurn yung paper. Or even if you want to touch it, masunog ka. So, ganun daw yung analogy nun. Even the iron, with the constant association sa fire, magiging parang fire na rin siya. Same na yung qualities niya. Fire, it could burn. Ganun na rin yung pure devotee with the constant association sa spiritual activities kay Krishna. He will be just like the qualities na meron kay Krishna. And he could spread Krishna as well. Because they are also coming from his energy. Krishna's energy is spiritual energy. So yung soul is also um, a part and parcel of Krishna. So the qualities is there. Of course, the iron could never be fire, but it could act just like a fire. So namatay na si Narada Muni dito. And in text 28, ano yung napuntahan niya? Having been awarded a transcendental body, befitting an associate of the personality of Godhead, I quit the body made of 5 material elements, and thus all acquired fruitive results of work, karma, stop. So yung fruitive result, yung karma, yung good and bad karma stop already. Done na siya doon. And this material body, done na rin siya doon. Nagkaroon siya ng transcendental body, spiritual body, yung eternal body niya. Sabi nga, befitting yon in association of Krishna. Pero, hindi pa siya bumalik kay Krishna totally. Marami pa siyang gagawin. So, sabi ni Sri Prabhupada, Narada Muni got his spiritual body as soon as he quitted his material body. And the fruitive activities, the actions and the reactions stopped already. Kasi, ang gagawin na niya is to spread the glories of Krishna. Actually, siya yung epitome ng devotional service. Everywhere he goes, meron siyang daladalang veena. It is a musical instrument given by Krishna. And he sings the glories of Krishna. he glorified Krishna's name, fame, and glories in different places. Basahin natin yung um, text number 29. Kasi daw, nung namatay si Narada Muni, at the end of the millennium, when the personality of God at Lord Narayan lay down within the water of devastation, Brahma began to enter into him along with all creative elements. And I also entered through his breathing. So yung annihilation, kasama siya dun sa pumasok kay Lord Brahma, nakasama pumunta kay Mahavishnu, Garbhodakasha Vishnu. So, pagpasok niya doon, that will be one night again ni Lord Brahma. Tawag doon Yoga Nidra. So, yung mga nag-yoga sa atin, we know this. This is the resting period. Even, this is the mode of goodness, by the way, not the sleep na meron yung mga tao. So, this is the Yoga Nidra, and Narada Muni was resting there. And in the text 30, after 4,300,000,000 solar years, when Brahma awoke, so ganun siya matulog, ganun katagal yung tulog niya. In our solar years to, in combination. Pero sa kanya, for sure, is just few hours. When Brahma awoke to create again by the will of the Lord, all the rishis, like Marichi, Angira, Atri, and so on, were created from the transcendental body of the Lord. And I also appeared along with them. So, ito yung day, or ito yung night ni Lord Brahma. So, at the time of night, all the created being will be resting, will enter to Lord Vishnu. And afterwards, mag-create sila ulit. So, that's the annihilation part. This is much more going to be discussed in the fourth, fifth chapter regarding the cosmology, the creation and annihilation. But it was just being mentioned. Yung previous life niya, from that 4,300,000,000 solar years, kukontinue yung next life. Pero yung devotional service na nagawa niya, hindi nabawasan. So, eternal yon. On the other hand, yung mga na-achieve natin materially, mawawala yon after some time. Minsan nga, this lifetime nawawala eh. What more pa living and having attained another body. So, ganun kalayo, ganun katagal yung day ni Lord Brahma. So, times 2 mo to, 4,000,000,000. So, maging 8,000,000,000, 640,000,000 solar years yung one day ni Lord Brahma. Tagal, no? Just like the analogy of life ng isang human being and the life ng isang ants. Ants could have days or weeks time na kanilang life nila. Pero nangyari na lahat doon. Naging toddler na sila, naging adult na sila, nagkaasawa sila, nagkaanak na sila, naging lolo na sila, nagka-war, nagka-virus siguro sa kanila, nagka-pandemic din. So, tuloy-tuloy lang. Pero, sa atin, parang sandali lang nangyari. Sa kanila ganun yung buhay. Even bacteria would last for a few seconds na. So, ganun din yung time relevance nun. Ito yung inaaral ni Einstein, the time relevance. It was being discussed here in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And as the other yugas progresses, paiksi na paiksi yung time natin. In the Satya Yuga, mas mahaba yung buhay. That will be 100,000 years yung lifespan nila. In the Treta Yuga, it will be 10,000 years. In Dwapara Yuga, 1,000 years. In this Kali Yuga, what we have, supposedly 100 years. So, yung mga lolo at lolo natin, nakita natin sila parang maabot pa sila doon. Pero now, our generation, yung mga tito, tita natin, a lot of them, alam mo yun, matanda na yung 70, 80 even. And yung age ng mga sakit na meron dati would be experienced on the younger generation now. Paiksi na paiksi. That's the nature of the material world. There's this one story regarding this. Si Revati is a princess. Then yung dad niya na king is looking for a perfect match para sa anak niya, si Revati, a princess. So they're looking for the qualified prince or king para ma-match niya dun sa anak niya. Pero they've performed a lot of ceremonies where people will court, people will perform mga Herculean tasks tapos mga grabing activities just to please yung king sa yung princess na si Revati. Pero wala makakuha, wala makitang partner, right partner para kay sa anak niya na princess. Of course, a father's duty is to make sure that the daughter is on the good hand. So number one na role ng father yon. So in the scriptures, ginagawa nila yon. They're performing Swayambhava, I forgot, Swayambara sacrifice. So nag-gather yung mga soldiers, kings, and prince to get the hand of the princess. Pero wala makapasa sa standard nila. What they did is they went up to the planet of Lord Brahma. So pinakataas. So they had mystic powers how to get there. And they want to consult yung original creator, the first created being. Kasi kailangan nila ng rightful partner para kay Revati. So yung mag-ama pumunta doon. Medyo busy si Lord Brahma. So medyo nag-antay sila na onte kasi si Lord Brahma is managing the whole universe. Imagine minsan yung president ng company ang hirap kumuha ng schedule, di ba? What more pa yung manager, yung leader ng whole universe. Ang dami niyang activities. So they have to wait for a while. Ando sila sa lobby. Then one turn na nila para mag-consult kay Lord Brahma. Sinabi nila yung concern nila. Sabi nung dad niya. Nakalimutan ko yung name ng king. I wanted to find suitable partner, so suitable prince or king sa anak ko na si Revati. We did a lot of things back on earth pero walang naging qualified, walang nakitang qualified. Sabi ni Lord Brahma, very very witty na comment niya na. Yung concern ninyo, baliwala na siya pagbalik niyo sa earth. You waited for some time here and as we talk, yung time that's happening sa current na pinanggalingan sa earth, mabilis nangyayari. I don't know even kung may makakalala pa sa inyo pagbalik niyo doon. Kahit sandali lang kayo dito. So nagtaka na yung mag-ama. Then when they came back there, dito sa earth, generation had passed. History na silang dalawa. And may isa lang nakakilala sa kanila, the rest wala. May isa lang nakakilala sa kanila. Hindi sila kilala, like, they've met them. Pero na alam na nung taong yun, yung story nila na may nawalang mag-ama, they went to Lord Brahma. And then, sobra hindi na matrace yung generation, ilan na yung lumipas. But there's this characteristic that made them very distinct. Kasi they're coming from previous yuga and they're very big. Mataas sila. And yung mga succeeding yugas is paliit ng paliit. And yung mga tao doon maliliit na lang. So pumunta sila is on the transition ng Dwapara and Kali Yuga. And Lord Balaram was there. And he is, of course, very qualified to be the husband of Revati. The only thing is, napakatangkad ni Revati. Tapos si Balaram is on the size na kapareho nung people in that yuga. So ginawa ni Lord Balaram, he got his flow. Kung nakita niyo yung picture palagi or mga painting, si Krishna would have flute. Pag napunta sila sa forest, tapos bringing the cows and all, si Lord Balaram may flow siya. Just like in the farm na ginagamit. So kinuha ni Lord Balaram yung flow niya. Kinuha niya, tinutok niya sa head ni Revati, tapos binabahan. Pinaliit niya si Revati para pantay sila. Pantay sila ng height. So that's the time relevance. Bakit natin kuminendo to? Napakahabang story. Kasi si Narada Muni could travel in different time places at his own will na hindi magagawa ng iba. Hindi niya kailangan ng car dun sa Back to the Future ba yun na movie? Hindi niya kailangan yun. He can do that even. And with the right purpose. Si Back in the Future movie, they would um, gamble, taya sila sa lotto and all. They will try to change the past and the future. Si Narada Muni may onting ano siya, may role siya na siya yung mag-trigger ng pastime. He will be the voice dun sa start pag nabasa niyo yung Krishna book, siya yung voice doon na sinabi niya kay Kamsa, hindi mo ba alam yung pinag-drive mo na bagong kasal mong kapatid na babae, yung eighth son niyan, siya yung papatay sa'yo. Siya yung mga voice na gano'n. Siya yung um, magiging reason ng maraming story. And madaming-madami pa in different pastimes. As we read Srimad Bhagavatam, ang daming appearance, ang daming cameo ni Narada Muni. With that purpose, to glorify Krishna's name, fame, and glories. Kasama rin siya dun sa mga, parang advance party siya para ma-intensify yung story. So let's read furthermore. Text 31. Since then, by the grace of the Almighty Vishnu, I travel everywhere without restriction, both in the transcendental world and the three divisions of the material world. This is because I am fixed in unbroken devotional service of the Lord. The transcendental world is the spiritual world. This is the three-fourth creation of Krishna. Andyan yung Vaikunta, Vrindavan. And the material world, tinatawag itong palaging three worlds. Kasi andyan yung higher planetary systems. Andyan yung heavenly planets. Andyan nakatira yung mga demigods. Andyan yung lower planetary systems. Andyan yung mga, sila Yamaraj, who is a demigod that handles yung lower planetary system kung saan nag-suffer yung mga people that had been accumulated na yung maraming bad karmas. Andun din yung middle planetary system, which is where we at now. Kung mga nandito tayo sa Earth, kung may nakikinig sa lower planetary system, hello dyan, saka sa higher planetary system. Pero, nandito tayo sa middle planetary system. This is, ito yung tatawag nilang middle ground. Dito nangyayari yung exam. Dito nangyayari yung karma. The rest, upper planetary and lower planetary system will just be um, sowing the seed na na I know, like need sowing, reaping yung mga seed na sinuha natin. Yung mga reactions kinukuha natin dun sa higher and lower planetary system. Sa middle ground, ito yung kung saan ka nagtatanim ng mga good or bad karma. Or saan yung place na may chance na matigil mo yung birth and death na yun, yung samsara na yun. So the nature of this material world is full of suffering. Andyan din yung enjoyment. Naglalaro siya. Hindi siya pwedeng fully enjoyment lang. That will be higher planetary system. And which is also not that favorable in Krishna consciousness because the destruction for self-gratification is so high. Sobrang gandang araw ng mga tao doon. Yung pinakamaganda sa earthly planet. Pinakamagandang tao dito. Mukha lang daw frog doon sa, sa heavenly planet. Ganun sila kagaganda. Ganun sila kagataas. Yung mga Gandharvas, yung mga voices nila, grabe. Yung intoxication din nila doon, grabe. Hinahanap ni Joe Rogan palagi sa interview niya yung Somarasa. So, ayun nga, yung Somarasa is in the heavenly planets. Sa moon planet nga rin daw yung Somarasa. So, we have a ocean of salt here. Salt water here. Sa heavenly planets, may mga ocean of milk, ocean of honey, and a lot. Of course, in the lower planetary system, they would have bodies that would not die. Pero, suffering, places yon. Nag-e-enjoy sila sa taas, sa baba, nagka-suffer sila. And may planet din sa lower planetary system na sobrang advanced. in technology, yung planets na yun. And very demoniac, very lower modes. So yeah, this middle ground, this planetary system that we have now is a way na we could have a human body form, a chance for self-realization, a chance to stop this cycle of birth and death. The only chance na magkaroon ng devotional service to glorify and relish Krishna's name, pastimes, and forms niya. So very special daw having this human body of life natin. Gaano ka-special, gaano ka-rare? May analogy na binigay when a turtle, is swimming in the ocean. So minsan kailangan niya umangat sa water to take a deep breath of air. So minsan nangyayari yun. Makikita mo aangat ng turtle yung head niya sa ocean. And on that rare moment, meron mas rare pa na mangyayari na may log of food sa ocean. May driftwood. And on that wood, minsan mangyayari na may hole na kasing laki ng ulo ng turtle. May butas yung log of wood na yun. And what are the chances na pagtaas ng ulo ng turtle sa ocean, sumakto siya dun sa wood na inaanod sa ocean. And sumakto pa dun sa hole na sakto yung ulo niya. Pag angat niya, sakto siya dun sa butas. So what are the chances? Sobrang almost zero. Zero chances para mangyari yun. Ganun daw ka-rare having this human form of life. In the 8,400,000 species of life, bihira lang tayo mapunta sa body na human. So we should not take it for granted na we have this body, we have this um, vehicle for realizing yung self natin, realizing yung purpose natin, yung dharma natin, and our connection to the Supreme. Otherwise, having this material body and living an animalistic life, kahit pa posh or sobrang magarbo yung eating, mating, sleeping, and defending natin, same, animalistic life. The only thing that we could do differently in this human form of life is self-realization. And in this age, the recommended um, practice for self-realization, for perfection of this life is the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And that is so very sweet na even all the demigods from heaven, pag kaliyugan na, pag may chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra na sa material world, they go down. Gustong-gusto nilang bumaba to relish, to be part of the pastimes. And eto, yung news na ini-spread ni Narada Muni. He travels everywhere, anytime, and will garb himself as different roles, but mostly Narada Muni. And he will become, he becomes the spiritual master of different great personalities, just like Narada, Vyasadev, Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj. Siya yung nagiging guru nila in different pastimes. So just like the message, tawag niya nila rito parang the analogy of electricity. Habang palayo ng palayo yung binabato ng electricity, papunta sa malayo, province and all. Coming from the power plant, hindi power plant sa Makati sa POBSA. Power plant yung talaga kung saan pinanggalingan ng power. Habang palayo siya ng palayo, nabawasan yung energy niya. Pero, kaya makikita mo in the post, meron doon mga big equipment, tinatawag ng transformer. Yung mga spiritual master, specifically din si Narada Muni, is just like transformers sa mga power sa electricity. Habang nawawala yung message ni Krishna, habang palayo sa generation, pinapadala ni Krishna yung mga pure devotees niya para lumakas uli yung energy and yung power dun, yung electricity dun. Minsan nga siya yung bumababa in his different forms. And minsan, bababa rin siya in his original form as Krishna, two-handed form ni Krishna. So, napapass down siya. So, that is the good news actually. Even in this Kali Yuga, we are hearing yung glorious ni Krishna. We are being encouraged to chant Krishna's name. Text number 32. And thus, I travel constantly singing the transcendental message of the glories of the Lord, vibrating this instrument called Veena, which is charged with with transcendental sound and which was given to me by Lord Krishna. Even music actually is coming from Krishna. Actually everything, art and music. So yeah, yung those who knows me and watch yung isang interview sa akin sa isang podcast, I've mentioned na um, on my search sa meaning ng arts, dun ako napunta sa Krishna consciousness. And I've heard a lot of stories na the devotees, most specifically, the greatest devotee na si Srimati Radharani, she is using arts. Yung purpose ng arts actually even is to please the Supreme, to please Krishna. They are decorating yung mga places nila kung saan sila mag-meet si Krishna and si Radha. Then all the gopis are helping out to design it. They're dressing themselves with colorful combination ng mga different jewelries. Diba? The saris, the flowers, the garlands. Sometimes they will paint the floors. Sa India makikita niyo yun, lagi silang gumagawa ng mandala sa labas ng mga bahay nila. Tapos yung iba doon everyday. Alam mo tayo, may specific term sila. They'll put body markings. They will put they call it gopi dots. They have their own makeup as well. So yung arts na yun, napakalawak. Not just to be impressionist, expressionist, or mag-create ng pop art o ng revolution and all. That would be, of course, some form ng material purpose ng arts. Pero the original source of arts is to please Krishna. That is the real purpose. And even music, yung hawak-hawak ni Narada Muni na Veena is to please Krishna. Nagaling din kay Krishna yung instrument na yun. Ginagamit niya pag tinutugtog na yun, everyone will be so captivated by that music. Even nga yung octave na ginagamit nila mga tono. Di ba meron tayo, we have here modern times na do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. They have, coming from the scriptures, coming from the spiritual, in the Vedas, they have the original version. In the purport, Sri Prabhupada mentioned the 7 singing meters. Sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa. So those are the 7 meters na meron. And may mga meaning bawat isa yon. And may mga raga, may mga tunes when they use it for kirtans. May original siya pinanggagalingan. Hindi siya composed out of nothing lang. And this music is, again, for the purpose na to please Krishna and also for the purpose na spreading good news, which is Krishna consciousness. Narada Muni is one of the original music player and using it. He is traveling everywhere, having that Veena, playing music, singing the glories of Krishna and his forms and names. So, makikita natin minsan yung devotees are performing parades or they call it Harinam. Or a bigger scale is the Ratha Yatra, bringing out Krishna in the form of Lord Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra, having a parade. And publicly, they will play musical instruments. They will sing Krishna's names and spread it everywhere, the holy vibration, the spiritual vibration. Narada Muni is doing that. And when Lord Krishna went down here.
Oh,
Chaitanya
daddy.
Prabhu. Sorry, I need to remove you. So when Narada Muni, in the form of, well, with Krishna in the form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they went here, ginawa nila tong Harinam Sankirtan na to. They spread Krishna's holy name. They went in different places. Tapos nagka-perform sila ng Harinam, nagpe-perform sila ng parade with that music instrument. And everyone was very captivated with that spiritual vibration. During the time of Srila Prabhupada, walang nakaisip ng mga sages na mangyayari to in the West, in the material world. Oh, in the much more captivated sa material world in the West, outside India. But when Srila Prabhupada went there, the natural instinct and by the instructions and the empowerment of the guru, all the most of the devotees naturally did this naturally did this give me a second naturally give the did this Harinam Sankirtan. It was being instructed by Krishna from within. Yan. So sobrang kakaiba yung Harinam Sankirtan because everyone is spreading Krishna's name and the seed of bhakti without discrimination. Lahat ng makakarinig, lahat ng living entities, walang qualification na sinasabi. Pero even those living entities without ears, but pag nakaramdam sila ng spiritual vibration, dire-diretso na. Napakagaling yan, napakagandang association. And that is the duty of Narada Muni na ginagawa niya. Even now, nangyayari yung pastime na yon is in different places. Sabi nga, when there's a pastime where Srila Prabhupada was giving classes, that pure devotees could see even Narada Muni attending in the kirtans and the lectures. And there's a nice verse in the scriptures that Krishna is saying na si Krishna is not in the hearts in the group where the yogis are gathering. Hindi rin siya nandun sa mga nagpa-perform ng mga austerities and sacrifices. Wala rin siya doon. Minsan, dun sa mga sages na nagpupunta sa mga holy places, minsan wala rin daw siya doon. Pero he is assuring na nandun siya sa mga devotees who are conversing his glories, names, and pastimes. And all the other devotees and even demigods are also joining that. Ganon ka-sweet, ganon yung ini-start ni Narada Muni. He travels just to spread the good news. So let's read the last verse for today. The Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, whose glories and activities are pleasing to hear, at once appears on the seat of my heart as if called for, as soon as I begin to chant his holy activities. So Krishna is in everyone's heart. Sarvasya Chaham Hirdisana Visto. Hirdi is the heart. He is sitting in everyone's heart in the form of Paramatma. Ayun din yung nakita ni Nadada Muni. Ayun din yung nakita ni Dhruva Maharaj in the form of Paramatma. And the yogis are aiming to see that, to have darshan of Krishna. And when one is actually chanting Krishna's name, one Krishna is appearing, sabi nga, mas nararamdaman si Krishna from the heart. And some of the acharyas are even saying, when one is chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Krishna and Radharani, Shamata Radharani, is dancing in one's tongue. You're singing the glories, and they're dancing on that tune and beat habang nagkachanta. So imagine that. How fortunate we are na bumaba si Lord Chaitanya giving us the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Sabi nga ni Sri Prabhupada dito, um, yeah, at once he becomes visible to the transcendental eyes of the pure devotee by reflecting himself in the mirror of the heart by spiritual television. So imagine meron kang spiritual television, no? Yung channel mo makikita mo yung mga spiritual activities. Gusto mo ng action, punta mo yung Mahabharat. Gusto mo ng medyo kingly order, tapos may mga superhuman, mga action na parang ang daming plot twist. Punta mo yung marami yan. Tapos you want to see mga kings, punta mo yung um, Srimad Bhagavatam. Gusto mo ipuntahan yung pastime ng history, andun yung mga Puranas. Kung may ganun din na lang, no? TV lang, no? Kaya may ganun mga series kang pwede panoorin. But of course, this good news na ini-spread ni Shri Narada Muni and other spiritual teachers natin is the news and the stories na meron tayo sa ating merong Srimad Bhagavatam. By the grace of our Srila Prabhupada, yung mga pastime na meron nangyari before, yung mga appearance din ni Radamon in different places, we are also just like traveling in time, hearing that message through this book, Srimad Bhagavatam. And no one actually in the history I mean, in our modern world that could have such detailed history sa narrated, not just um, a myth, but a literature, a scripture, which is the Srimad Bhagavatam. We're so fortunate that Srila Prabhupada, with all his heart, sa yung ecstasy niya, nilagay niya rito. And meron tayong access. Even neophyte, this is their mercy. Even us neophytes could have access in these stories, in this glorification kay Krishna. Again, si Lord Chaitanya went here to spread Krishna's name, fame, and glories by the easy access ng chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And I invite everyone, tomorrow is Gaura Purnim. This is the appearance of Lord Chaitanya. And this is also predicted in different parts ng Vedas and revealed, kumbaga nakatago. Kasi this is personal mercy ni Krishna. He only appears one Kali Yuga in one day of Lord Brahma. There is 72 Kali Yuga. 72 Kali Yugas. 72 cycles ng 4 yugas in one day of Lord Brahma. And one Kali Yuga lang doon mag-appear sa Lord Chaitanya. So imagine, 5,000 years ago, Lord Krishna appeared. In the computation ng day ni Lord Brahma na 4,200,000,000,000,000. Tama ba yung 4,300,000,000,000 yung appearance ni Lord Krishna 5,000 years ago lang. Ang lapit lang nun. What more pa yung 500 years ago na appearance ni Lord Chaitanya. His energy, his yung vibration niya, mararamdaman pa natin hanggang ngayon. Parang kahapon lang siya. That was just 500 years ago. You could also visit Navadip Dam kung saan siya pinanganak. Sa Mayapur, you could also visit that. And of course, the golden age of Kali Yuga, yung first stage ng Kali Yuga, andun yung Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. We could also relish that. So we must take advantage of it, having this human form of life, having the messages coming from the devotees following the footsteps of Narada Muni, having the access, our Wi-Fi access to Krishna through the chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And it is just like traveling in time, hearing this news of Srimad Bhagavatam. So tomorrow, poster will be posted tonight in our group chats para sa mga schedule tomorrow. And tomorrow, I invite everyone to relish yung appearance ni Lord Chaitanya. We could worship Him. The best way to worship Him is to chant our rounds. You can increase your number of rounds. You can go dive. You can go deeper and dive deeper while tuning in sa Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. That's the best way to worship Krishna. And one of the most pleasing din sa kanya is when one spreads Krishna's holy name, chanting of Hare Krishna and the books, the good news to other people. So maraming salamat. I'll see you tonight with Navadip Chandra Prabhu. And tomorrow, as a whole day program, kirtans will be there with musical instruments. Um, Japa session will be there still in the morning. Lectures will be there a whole day. And the DT worship will be there. All will be in Zoom and will be live in Facebook. So maraming salamat. Lord Chaitanya ki jai, Narada Muni ki jai, Grantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaura Premanande. Thank you very much, my dear Prabhus and dear Matajis. Be safe when you're in all your places there, but don't be afraid. Just chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.